Hi everyone, so this is our first unit, first session. We're going to be covering the section of Cambridge Unit 1 for level 5. It's known as The Way We Are, it's called The Way We Are. And in today's class, we're going to cover the following. So we are going to cover manner and adjectives that we use to describe people's behavior and personality. Also, we'll use manner adverbs to define people's behavior and personality, to describe people's behavior and personality. We will also use adverbs to make adjectives and adverbs stronger. So we will see a few adverbs that make a more stronger statement. You will also see a few prefixes that we use for adjectives to make opposites, to make the meaning of an adjective opposite, as well as the use of always and at least with a continuous verb to describe individual habits, and at least to point out the positive side of a situation. Now, towards the end of this video, you will see the activity, the synchronized activity that we are going to do towards the end of the lesson. So stay tuned. Now in this picture you can see a few words like truthful, honest, easygoing, good humor, friendly, pretty, happy, good listener, energetic, intelligent. These would be a few adjectives. So please always remember that adjectives always define or give a quality to a noun. For example, if I choose a noun which is a red apple, if I say apple, apple becomes a noun. However, if I put red in front of apple, it becomes an adjective. So these are all the adjectives that you use with nouns. Now let's go to the next slide. And in this slide, you will see a lot of words. Words like outside, quietly, nowhere, easily, next, often, already, recently, sometimes, yesterday. So there are a lot of words here. However, these words are known as adverbs. So what is the difference between adjective and an adverb? If you look at these words, you will always use these words with verbs. For example, he was sitting quietly. So the adverb quietly is describing how someone was sitting. For example, he did the test quietly, or he ran easily. So in this case, easily describes the quality of run. He speaks loudly. So this implies that someone speaks in a very loud voice. So how do they speak? They speak loudly. So I'm describing the quality of the verb speak. So let's go a little further and see manner, adverbs and adjectives. Now please remember that manner means the way that you do something, and adverbs and adjectives can be used to define or describe the way you do something. For example, if you see the first example, it says, I drive carefully in the city. Now if you see, carefully in this case is how I drive. So drive becomes the verb and carefully becomes how I change the verb. In this case, the way that I drive is very careful. I drive in a very careful way. Hence, I drive carefully. What is the structure? How do you make it? The structure is the verb plus the manner adverb. Like I said, adverb will always change always tell you the way the verb behaves. Now, if you look at the second example, it says adjective and a noun. I am an impatient person. Impatient means someone who is not patient. Hence, this is changing the way the person is described. If I say I am a person, means I'm a normal person, I'm any person. However, if I say I am a happy person, tells me the kind of person I am. Hence, the adjective describes the noun. Okay, in this case, person. So let's look at the next slide. These are a few ways that you can change adverbs. Remember that you can change the adjective into an adverb by adding ly at the end. And this is for regular adverbs. So regular adjectives can be changed into regular adverbs using ly. For example, patient can be changed into patiently. Careful is changed into carefully. Easy is changed into easily. Automatic is changed into automatically. Then you have irregular adverbs such as good, late, fast, and hard. So good is a very interesting example of an irregular adverb. You will never say goodly because it doesn't exist. Hence, you will say good changes to well. Late remains late. There is no lately, because lately means recently. So in English, lately has a different meaning. So late remains late, fast remains fast, and hard remains hard. There is no change in the last three adverbs. So remember, late, fast, hard do not change. Alright? Now let's look at another interesting example. Now, when we talk in conversations, the most commonly used adverbs are quickly, easily, differently, automatically, slowly, properly, badly, strongly, and carefully. These are one of the most common manner adverbs used in the English language when we talk, when we converse with someone. Now, let's practice a few examples. What do you think the correct adverb will be in these 4 sentences? So, I listen to people carefully or careful. I am a quiet person or I am a quietly person. I get impatient or impatiently in long lines. I take school and work seriously or serious. Take a moment to think and select the adverbs that are correct for these sentences. I will give you the answer in just a moment. So, did you find out? I listen to people carefully or careful. Let's look at the answers. So, these are the correct answers. If you see in the first example, I listen to people carefully. But why not careful? Because I'm talking about how I listen to people. What is the way I listen to people? So I change carefully. I have an answer that is carefully, but it's changing the quality of listen. How do I listen? I listen carefully. I am a quiet person. I'm changing the noun person into the quality of quiet, or rather I'm changing or rather, I am talking about how the person is. What is the quality of the person? The person is a quiet person. So in this case, I'm talking about the noun person. The next sentence says, I get impatient in long lines. So I'm talking about how I am. I am impatient, or I get impatient in long lines. It's changing how I feel in long lines. I take school and work seriously and not serious. Why? Because how do I take school and work? Which means how do I think school and work are? I take that very seriously. Hence, I will change the verb. I use the adverb seriously for how I do something. So how do I do work? I do it seriously. Okay, now let's go to the next slide. Now, like I said, personality and character are two things that you can use the adverbs and adjectives to define. They're very commonly used in the English language. So you use adverbs before adjectives and other adverbs as well. And this, why do we do this? We do this to make them stronger. For example, if I say she's very quiet, so I use very, which is an adverb, to say how quiet a person is. Okay? Now similarly, I will use things like incredibly, extremely, very, really, so pretty, fairly, etc. to make adjectives and adverbs even more stronger. For example, if when you see a beautiful woman, you say she's really beautiful. So with really, you increase the quality of the woman and you say, how beautiful is she? She is really beautiful. So here you have three examples. Susan is incredibly generous. He's very reliable. She's extremely friendly. Okay, you can see that I'm talking about generous, reliable, and friendly. However, I put an adverb to increase the effect of how they are, to make them more stronger. Now, there is another way that you can use and make the adverbs or adjectives really strong. The first one is when you use absolutely or really, but you don't use very, when you have to make them very strong. For example, she's fantastic. If I say she's fantastic, it already means that she is something beyond good or very good. So in this case, I will not say she's very fantastic. No, I will say she's really fantastic. Similarly, when I say things like he's absolutely marvelous, if you see, marvelous means something that's too much of a good thing, something that's amazing. So I would say he's absolutely marvelous. I will not say he's very marvelous. No, I will say absolutely marvelous. Okay? Now there is a second rule here that talks about negative. So when we use the expression at all, it makes a negative adjective stronger. For example, or adverb stronger. For example, he's not friendly at all, which means the person is really unfriendly. So in this case, I will use at all. Okay, so you remember at all is used to make a negative stronger, and absolutely or really is used to make an adjective or an adverb which is already very strong, stronger. Sorry, the adjective stronger. Alright, so this is another rule which follows the adverbs completely and totally. Remember that when you say completely and totally, you mean 100%. Okay, if I say it's completely true, means there is no lie in it. It's absolutely the truth. There is no other, there is no hidden agenda in it. Okay, it is totally the truth. So when I say he is completely crazy, means that that person is not normal. He's just crazy. If I say my mom's completely reliable, means that you can rely on my mother for anything. Alright? Means 100%. Completely and totally. Now there are a few things that you can always, few expressions that you can always use in English. So one of those expressions is always. The rule is that always is used to describe individual habits. So how do you do this? You say that I am always learning English, which means that something that I'm always doing. It's part of my habit. I'm always doing it means I'm continuously doing it. In the second example, it says, she always helps me cook food. So, someone who always helps you means it's means that they 100% help you, and this is a habit. So, with always, remember that we use it for habits. Now, there is another expression that is called at least. Now, this expression is used to point out the positive side of a situation. Okay, at least means that even if the situation looks negative, it is positive. For example, yeah, at least your girlfriend apologizes. My girlfriend never says she's late. Okay, now imagine another example. If someone says, oh, I got a really bad grade in my exam, but I studied really hard. So your friend would say something like this, at least you tried. That means you did your best, even if the result is not how you expected. Alright, so it's always used to point out a positive side of a situation. Alright, now let's see how do we add prefixes to adjectives. Now what are prefixes? Prefixes are these words like un, im, this, im, etc. Now when you add them in front of another adjective, they make the opposite meaning of the adjective. For example, if I say I'm happy and you put the prefix un in front of it, it becomes unhappy, which means you are not happy. Now similarly, there are a few adjectives that I've put here that you can see how we add the prefixes and they become the complete opposite of the adjective in meaning. Patient becomes impatient. Considerate becomes inconsiderate. Friendly, unfriendly. Reliable, unreliable. Honest, dishonest. Organized, disorganized. Now these are just a few examples. There are many other adjectives that exist that make an adjective completely opposite when you add them to the adjective. Now, we come to the activity for the week. Now, what do you have to do? You saw the explanations in the lesson about adjectives and adverbs, things you can use to make them stronger, things that you can use to make a negative stronger. What I want you to do is describe a person you admire using adverbs and adjectives that you have seen in the slides. So you have to talk about your favorite person that you admire or your favorite person in class. Remember that you have to use at least 8 adjectives or adverbs. You can use them in a paragraph. You can talk about the person that you like and then present it in the class. Now remember, this will be a speaking exercise, so I don't want to see anything written. I just want you to talk. Okay? I'm going to give you an example. In this example, you can see that someone is talking about their mother. So they say, I admire my mother. Her name is Blanca. She is incredibly friendly and completely honest. She always helps other people. She hates lies and dishonest people. But my mom is always reliable and very generous. I think my mom is the best mom in this world. Now, as you can see, there are a few adjectives that have been used here. So, incredibly friendly, completely honest, always helps, dishonest people, always reliable, very generous, etc. So this is just an example about a woman called Blanca who happens to be a mother of a friend. Okay? So what do you have to do? You have to do the same thing. You have to talk about one person that you really admire in your life and present it in class. So now is your turn. I will see you in class on Thursday. Please do remember that you can contact me by email anytime that you want. The email is provided in the syllabus. If you have any problems, if you need any help, please write to me and we can take it further. Thank you very much for your time and I will see you in class. Bye.